Good morning, race fans. Welcome to CXRL's second race of the NASCAR series. Give me a moment as we get things started here. I am a little bit tired as of recording this, so I hope you cut me some slack. I'll try and make things as interesting as possible for this race. Welcome to the CXRL NASCAR Championship race number 2. We're going to be at Daytona. God, I'm not having a good start to this recording. We're going to be at Daytona, Daytona Sports Car Circuit. It's going to be 20 laps. It's going to be roughly a 40-minute race. We have the track layout down there. Our grid positions are posted there when you have first Cody, second Royce, third Cable, fourth Spools, fifth Coinsey, sixth Pinks, seventh Bagel, eighth Code, and ninth GameStopper. We did have two no-shows, which are Code and Royce, so those spots don't count. Well, they do count, but they just don't exist for this race. Per se, I guess we could say. um, yeah, this is a pretty big race. We have a lot of new drivers who weren't here last week showing up, so it's gonna make for an interesting thing. This is the road course, so this isn't the ovals where certain drivers are going to excel on, like GameStopper and other drivers. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a crazy one. Alright, off we go for the formation lap. Car's looking all good. This is a massive grid. We are missing a video stream for today. We do apologize for that, but it should be okay. We should see plenty of action from our drivers' points of view today. Everyone has been looking really, really strong in this championship. Anybody could win. And I think really there's going to be a fight for second and third positions in this race. Spools will probably take off because he's one of the best drivers we have in this championship. But Coin, Pings, and honestly any other driver could possibly secure second and third. Pings and Coin have been really close in pace. The last race, Coin ended up dropping back and completely losing everything because of a slight error and smacking the wall a little bit. Lost all the draft and just fell behind on Daytona. Here we can see GameStopper's point of view, and we have the whole grid ahead. In-game cautions going a bit AWOL. So this is going to be your second rolling start of our official rolling start of this season. So far they've been going really well, but turn 1 on this track gets really dicey, and we might see some cars round, we might see some crazy stuff. Ooh, Pings blocks up because Coin braked really hard into the chicane. We haven't even started and there's already very close contact. Thank God nobody got damaged from that. Now they're starting to bunch up for the rolling start. We'll see things get on their way for our 20 laps of the Daytona Sports Car Circuit. Now this is anyone's game because this is not an oval. The people who excelled in the oval last week are starting in the back, and the people who didn't show up last week are also starting in the front, so it's a very mixed pack. So we have Cable in the front. Oh, there was a mistake with the grid positioning. Cable starting in the front, King Cody second, third Spools, fourth Coin, fifth Pings, sixth Bagel, and seventh is GameStopper. And we're about to go green at Daytona. As they round the final corner, or straight, if you want to call this. And they are off. We are green at Daytona. We have a race. They're going about 3 wide into the first corner. Cars all over the place. People sending it in, and Cable loses it on the first corner. No cautions out. Seems that everybody cleared safely. Pings got away from the pack, so is Spools and Coinseeds trying to keep up. GameStopper's right in the middle there. Pings right on the tail of Spools, but Spools just gets a better launch out of there. GameStopper towards the rear of the pack, holding a decent position. Coin is losing some ground on Pings. What a messy first turn, but it seems to have evened out pretty well. GameStopper looking to make a move on Cody. Very close. Close into that corner. What a first turn. We already have our positions all mixed up. First Spool, second Pings, third Coin, fourth I believe is Bagel. We don't have Bagel stream, so it's a little bit harder to tell. No, fourth is Cody. Fifth is GameStopper, sixth is Bagel, and seventh is Cable. Sadly getting a really rough start in turn one, seemed to have just sent it in a little too hard into the first corner, losing the back end. Great runs to that first chicane by all the drivers. That chicane is a very difficult one to get right. Because you want to carry as much speed as physically possible through the corner without going over the track limits, and it's a very difficult one. You have to get the turn-in points exactly correct, and if you mess it up, you either go into the grass and lose a bunch of time, or you slam into a tire barrier. Not a very fun corner. King Cody going a little bit wide off the track into turn one, but keeps it on pretty well. Spools and Pings are pulling away from Coin slowly, it seems. Spools pulling a massive gap on the whole pack. We probably will not see him for the rest of this race, as a matter of fact. Just want to see if there's any moves. And Coin's around! Coin has spun! Going into the hairpin, gets a little bit on the grass, and that means Cody and GameStopper are going to get by. There's no caution. Coin is off the track, trying to rejoin. GameStopper gets by, and Bagel gets by. Coin lost 3 positions from that little mistake, and now he's going to have to try and make it up before the end of this race. What a mess. Coin could have had 3rd position, or even battled for 2nd. Looked like Ping's and Coin's gap was pretty consistent. She made a little mistake by going onto the grass, and that ended the race. For her, it seems. As they go into the chicane, King Cody getting loose, and GameStopper fishtails it and gets into the grass. Loses all those positions there to Bagel and Coin. Bagel and Coin are rocketing past into the final turn, and catching Cody significantly. What a turn of events. We've got a lot of cars off today. Cable is not doing too well in the back. GameStopper also back there. Spools, Pings running away with this race, and now we have a battle for 3rd position. Coin sends it in Bagel, putting pressure. Cody goes a little wide into that corner, took in offline. That's alright. Coin and Bagel battling it out now. Whoa! Coin sent it up the inside. She just got a little contact and pushes through. It's extremely aggressive. Thank goodness he didn't take anyone out. And now we have pretty good gaps between all of our drivers now. There's nobody in sight. Spools is still taking away from Pings, but Pings doesn't seem to be losing that gap too quickly. A Coin is off the track again. That same hairpin, same spot, didn't spin, and Bagel gets by. Cody nearly got by. Just putting it up on the bumper saying hello. Here we go. Our positions are Spools, Pings, Bagel, Coin, Cody, GameStopper, and Cable. They come up to the chicane. Or if Coin's able to send anything up on Bagel here gets a lot later on the brakes, makes him a bit of time, and Bagel sends a bad line but just closes the door before Coin can get past, and she's on his bumper. And one thing to note that might mix up the pack tonight is that there are, well, this morning, but there are pits. People are going to have to dive into the pits for fuel and tires, really. These cars suck down fuel faster than you would think. Side by side, Bagel and Coin are. Let's see if they can do anything with this next coming corner. And Bagel lets out. Here we go. Coin is in third. Secures third. Spools still pulling away from the pack in first. Ping's also making a massive gap, trying to keep up with Spools. But Spools is not pulling away too much. See, little bits each lap, each corner, little bits. In the bottom left corner, we would have Bagel's stream, but there was some technical difficulties with that, just as a reminder, so we might not see everything from these points of views today. But next race, we'll try and make sure that we have all 4 POVs, or even more if we are able to. Also, if you are curious about joining us or possibly racing with us, links in the description will be to our Discord where you can join the racing league. We are CXRL, the casual Xbox racing league. We do a whole bunch of racing, mainly our championship series on Forza, but also we have Friday night fun races where we do anything kind of nights. Hoping to see you all there at some point. Spools is pulling away from Pings pretty rapidly. The gap between Bagel and Coinsy is just growing. I said Bagel, right? I hope I did. It's still anybody's race. We're not even halfway through. But the gaps within the field are growing, which means it's going to be difficult to catch up. There's going to be no drafting and no external help from that. Granted, there is something to note. People who do not position well in this race are going to start at the front of the grid at the oval next week. Our next week's race will be at Indianapolis Brickyard Speedway. Looks like GameStopper is gaining on King Cody a bit. Might see a possible overtake here soon. Not much other action from our other drivers. Everyone's kind of just trying to set clean laps. GameStopper making a lot of time up on Cody in that fast sweeping left-hander. Excuse me. Would you call that a fast sweeping left-hander? Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, King Cody goes really wide. I think he tapped the tire barriers, but still keeps some pace out of there. Didn't seem to gain any advantage from that, so the stewards will probably not have a problem with it. GameStopper getting that draft is catching quickly on Cody. Let's watch that POV. Here we go, into the chicane. No moves are going to be made. GameStopper gets early on the brakes. Cody is fishtailing it a little bit, and still saves it. And gets out of there clean. GameStopper lost a little bit of speed from braking early into that chicane, but is taking the inside line while Cody goes wide through the banked turn. Ooh, Cody weaving a little bit, and GameStopper gets by cleanly. That's 5th position secured for GameStopper. GameStopper has a really strong grasp in the constructors, so any positions he can make up today are going to be important for keeping that lead. Again, it's not a huge deal because his strength is in the oval. He's told us many times his oval strength is a lot better than his road course strength. And in this championship, the better he performs at the ovals, the less he has to do in the road courses. And actually a benefit for GameStopper, if he does not place well in this race, in the oval track next week, he will be able to start farther in the group. Farther ahead in the group. Right now, he's kind of set to start in the mid-pack, which is going to be scary, like it is for every race start. But we shall see what happens. It's a pretty quiet race, to be honest. Not too much action. Now, what drivers can do is if they're not getting good positions or can't keep up with somebody, they can still go for the fastest lap. And the fastest lap gives an extra point, which can win a championship. So it's always worth trying for that extra point. But you also do want to stay as consistent as physically possible, because you don't want to lose positions because of a crash. A lot of pretty clean driving out there. We've just gotten into this race. Anything can still happen. Cable is pitting early. Hasn't seemed to have much luck in this race, sadly. But, you know, there's still a chance. Now, there's another thing to look for. We have pits. People are going to have to pit. At some point. When they choose is up to them completely. But you have to pit once for this race, so undercut, overcut strategies may come into effect. I think the only way that Coinsey will catch pings at this rate is going to have to undercut or overcut. Depends on how she's thinking about her, feels about her tires and fuel. It depends on what Pings does. Spools is still running away with this race. GameStopper seems to be catching up to Bagel, ever so slightly. So the chicane, beautiful. You are allowed to put a good bit of your car over that line as long as all four wheels do not leave the track and also half of your car is on the track still. Forza regulations are a little bit more strict than we are personally in our league, but yeah, if somebody is cutting corners, we will address it and there will be penalties. Luckily, so far, nobody has gotten a penalty in this. And there is cars all over the place. Tires all over the place, not cars. Somebody hit into a tire barrier, and GameStopper is catching Bagel here, ever so slightly each turn, each lap. Bagel currently holds a 2-second gap. See if GameStopper can shrink that. You see on the race map, there is a lot of cars all over the place. Bagel going really wide into the grass, and gets a bit of tire smoke up in the air. That's going to lose some time. Ultimately kept their 2-second gap, but the more you kick the back end out, the more you're going to wear out those tires. We'll hopefully be able to see something, hopefully see that gap close. Pings and Coins tires already orange, yellowish. They're going to start losing grip slowly. But it probably will not be a huge issue because they're not exactly battling. Oh, and GameStopper's off the track, sends it way too fast into the chicane and just lost the back end. That is unfortunate. But there's still a lot of race left, so anything can happen here. Bagel's getting away with a 10-second lead, and King Cody is behind that. Current positions are Spools, Pings, Coin, Bagel, GameStopper, Cody, and Cable for 7th. So far, a pretty clean race. We've only had a few cars go off of the track. Cable at turn 1 and Coin at the hairpin. Didn't quite see what happened there. It looked like she got a tire in the grass and the car just kicked around. You can really see how large the gap between Pings and Coin has become, as Pings has already exited the chicane while Coin hasn't even entered it yet. Exited the banked turn. Still been green this entire race with only one sector yellow, which I think was when Coin went off the track. But I don't think really anything's happened with that. Coin pushing the track limits really closely there at that chicane, just trying to get any amount of pace that she can out of that car. These cars are all spec, except for the tire pressures. No tuning, no modifications are allowed. It's true stock cars. GameStop are taking that chicane a little bit more cautiously than last lap, or lap before that. I'm tired. Ooh, Coin sends it into turn 1 a little bit too hard, but slows it down before the exit of the turn, luckily. Keeps going. Those tires do seem to be struggling a bit to grab grip, but we're roughly around the halfway mark. So, pit strategies. Somebody just GameStopper dives into the pits. So possible undercut strategy on Bagel. Coin is in the grass, saves it luckily. Back end started to kick out a bit. That's going to lose some pace for her. But the way the gaps are looking, it looks like we have a solid first, second, and third. At least for now. Cody gets past GameStop on the pit exit and drifts it into turn 1. Slides the car nearly through the entire corner. That was a show for sure. Well, let's see if Cody can hold that position from GameStop as long as possible. Coming out of the hairpin, both really holding some good speed out of there. GameStopper slowly gaining on him. To the hairpin. Cody takes a really nice line through there, just cutting the curbs over, just to safe him out that it isn't considered cutting the track. We go on to the oval section of the track. And they're keeping their distance pretty well. I don't think GameStopper's pushing too hard, because he's got to make these tires last till the end of the race now. Which shouldn't be too difficult, but there's always a need to push. Bagel is pitting. That is actually an interesting strategy, because now GameStopper and King Cody might be able to get past Bagel in the pit lane. So are they going to pass him in time? King Cody and GameStopper. GameStopper slowly getting the draft on King Cody, which isn't going to be enough before turn 1 to pass. GameStopper gaining quickly. Cody dives into the pits, which means GameStopper is going to get the slingshot into the next lap. Now let's see if GameStopper can catch up to Bagel now that lost a lot of time in the pits. The undercut strategy didn't seem to be there, but as we saw in the earlier laps, GameStopper was slowly catching Bagel before the incident at the chicane. The leaders are yet to pit. Pings, Coin, and Spools yet to pit. So let's see what they do. It looks like they're trying to push their tires as long as physically possible. Pings finding a back marker. I think that's King Cody up there. We don't really wave blue flags at back markers, but it is aware that they gotta be cautious about the faster cars coming behind. So we'll see if Cody lets him by, or that is Cody, right? I gotta make sure, cause yeah, that is. It's kind of hard to see from my setup. So Cody goes wide, but Pings isn't really able to do much. Oh, and goes even wider into the oval, and Pings gets by. Still waiting to pit. All the drivers in the top 3 are pushing their fuel and tires as far as possible. The tires aren't going to suffer as much as the fuel will. The fuel is ultimately going to be why you have to pit. The tires are just something that will slowly degrade along with you. Well, that sounded dark. I didn't mean it that way, but like, yeah, the tires aren't going to go before the fuel does. The fuel is going to go before the tires. And we have a retired car from the race. It seems like Cable has retired from the race due to car damages. That is very unfortunate. And Pings slides into the pits. As does Spools. Now Coin is going to have to make up some time as much as she can here if she wants to get past Pings in the pits. It's going to be really close here. Here she comes. She's just going to get ahead. I don't think it's going to be enough to make the overcut worth it. But maybe she can hold second for a bit of this race. And she comes out just in front of Pings into turn 1. Now we're going to see if Pings is going to be able to make up this position before Coin has to pit. Because if she's not able to pull any time on Pings, then the overcut strategy isn't going to work. It's a battle for second and third right now. This wasn't the kind of racing we were expecting. We were expecting more battling, but it seems like people are pulling their time gaps really well. There's just a lot of alone racing, I guess we could say. And not alone racing in a bad way, it's just people are pulling gaps from each other, and it isn't being able to hold. Namestopper is trying to close the lead between Bagel and himself. We'll see if any positions are made up there. And Coin still has Pings behind her, but she's going to have to pit for fuel and tires at some point. So, is it going to be worth trying to pull a gap from Pings, or not? We will have to just see. So far this race has been pretty tame, and Coin looks to be going into the pits. Pings is going to make the pass. Now, Coin is in the pits. Will anybody be able to catch up to her in this time? Does not look so. The pits are about 20 seconds on this track. So if you ever want to pass anybody or catch up to somebody, 20 seconds is time you have to look for. It's 25, nearly 30 getting out of the pits for Coin. And that puts a massive gap between Coin and Pings. Looks like Spools is getting into some back markers. Hopefully nothing bad comes out of that. Now, if Coin can somehow pull up and catch Pings with a 20-second lead, I don't think there's much that's going to happen for that race. Namestopper sitting comfortably in 5th. Cody behind, Bagel in front. There's not much overtaking really happening. This is a pretty tame race. Everybody has pulled their gaps and is sitting comfortably in their positions. If we had a larger grid, it might be different. But, you know what? Racing is racing. And really what this race does is it leads into the next race. Next week we will be at the Indianapolis Brickyard Circuit, so things could get crazy. That track is difficult to say the least. Everybody's sitting pretty comfortably where they are. No time is being made up significantly. Doesn't really look like GameStopper's making up time, but that could just be me not looking at the timing right. Bagel 11 seconds ahead. If GameStopper is able to close that gap, it is definitely possible for him to get past Bagel. Let's see what happens here. I hate saying this, but there's not much to commentate about so far. We're having some pretty lone races here. So far, so good from everyone. Coin might actually be battling with Pings if she didn't make that mistake on the second lap in the hairpin. But third is still a podium position, so don't think she'll be complaining. It's just those extra points, because Pings has been hopping in this championship and stealing a lot of constructors' points already. Now, the constructors' points are pretty settled down for now. GameStopper is leading that significantly, but Spools, Pings, and Coin are slowly catching up. In this championship so far, this is only our second race, so the points aren't really saying much, but things could happen. Looks like Pings is catching up to a back marker. Not sure which car that is yet. Some great laps, just pushing these cars in the limit. You can see how each driver has their own style. A lot of tire smoke from Cody ahead. Like, these cars are on the limit constantly. Turn-ins, the exits. A little drifty there from Cody. Is Ping's going to be able to send it up the inside? Cody's giving plenty of room here. There doesn't seem to be enough to make a move from Ping's. Pings is fighting with the back marker. The back marker goes wide. Cody has to cut on the grass a little bit, but that is alright. Pings is passed. We do encourage back markers to keep their race going, but not to battle it out with people in front who are lapping them. Because back markers shouldn't have to move. They should still have a race, but they shouldn't hold people up like they're defending for their life. You know, if the person in front has the pace, they should just go around and pass them. And all the gaps are pretty static, specifically between Bagel and GameStopper. They're just sitting at 11 seconds, going up and down a little bit. Not too much action. Just some great laps being set by everybody around. We all love to see crashes, but this is just good racing. If you love to listen to these NASCARs driving around this track, then you've come to the right place. All the gaps seem to be pretty static. GameStopper making up a lot of time there, actually. As I say that, GameStopper makes up 2 seconds on Bagel. Don't know what happened there, possibly a bad line or a bad braking zone. Who knows? The current positions are Spools, Pings, Coin, Bagel, GameStopper, King Cody, and Retired Cable. It's very unfortunate that Cable had to retire. This is the first race of this season for him. Hopefully he can make a comeback next week at Indy. Now just a note, for the drivers who are in the top 3, they're going to be starting at the back of the grid for Indy, which is going to be a massive disadvantage. The drafts are really important in Indy. Oh, GameStopper. That gap is just slightly changing between GameStopper and Bagel. Lap 18, we're slowly winding down towards the end of this race. Still a battle for any position possible. Anything can happen. People can make mistakes, and things can go bad for anyone. As we say that, it looks like Bagel is off the track. Bagel has totaled the car. GameStopper weaving. Oh my goodness. Spins it, but keeps it on. Bagel is in the tire barrier. Is there going to be a yellow or caution for that? Bagel's completely off the track and isn't moving. The car is retired. Bagel retires from the race, meaning GameStopper's moved up to 4th. I mean, I was just saying how it was like anything can happen, and then Bagel goes right off the track. No clue what happened there. It's like just an error with the braking zone. And GameStopper completely lost the car. Not sure what happened to either of those. Who just popped into the pits? I did not see that. I'm pretty sure it may have been Cody. So now our updated positions are Spools, Pings, Coin, GameStopper, King Cody, Bagel, retired, and Cable, retired. 2 retired racers from this race. All just seems from driver error. Which happens. People make mistakes, and it sucks to happen at these races. And Bagel was trying to fight with GameStopper for this championship. He was on the road to do so. Their gap was not changing much, and just threw it out the window. We are rounding out the final lap. The white flag, I believe, is out, as Spools has already crossed the line. We're saying final lap as GameStopper is just passing the line to start its 20. That's how far ahead the leaders are right now. They've been just moving, hauling. And the no drafts. They've just been going on their own. The gap between Coin and Pings is massive still. The gap between Pings and Spools is massive. So I'm pretty sure we can say that Spools is going to finish this race in 1st, Pings is going to 2nd, and Coin for 3rd. I don't want to call it too early, but I can see that that's probably what's going to happen, unless something catastrophic happens. GameStopper goes way too wide into that hairpin. Cody is trying to get past. Is that Cody? No, that's not Cody. Who is that? Oh, that's Spools. Spools is trying to lap GameStopper. Stopper's holding him up pretty good. And lets him pass. I thought that was Cody trying to make up a position. I was about to say, whoa, that's going to be a battle to the line. GameStopper and Spools going into the final chicane. Spools holding so much speed through there. Game Stopper goes a little bit wide off the track. Doesn't seem to have gained anything from that, so it's all good. Here we go. Spools is rounding the final corner to the front straight and finishes first for the NASCAR Championship Race 2 at Daytona. Still, anything can happen. Hings is rounding the final corner, going to finish second for the second race of the NASCAR Championship. And Coyne going through the final chicane for the last time. That's how big these gaps are. They're finishing miles ahead of each other. While GameStopper and Cody seem to be behind a lap. They're not behind a lap now. They're on the same lap, but they're miles away. Coyne crosses the line to finish third for the second race of the NASCAR Championship. Watching on board with GameStopper. Coming around the first banked corner for the final time. It is on the back straight for the final time. Around the final chicane. Spools is still pulling away, even though Spools isn't racing anymore. His race is over. GameStopper's still trying to get there as fast as possible. And is on the front straight for the final time at Daytona. And finishes fourth for the NASCAR Championship Series. And we'll wait for all the races to finish, and then we will get to the results. It was a very interesting race. It did not turn out to how we thought, especially with the grid size tonight. A lot of people just gapped each other, and it stayed that way for a while. Except for the few incidents we had, there really was a pretty clean race. We'll see how this affects the points in championship. In the grid positions for next race, Cable and Bagel will be starting towards the front, while Spools, Pings, and Coyne will be starting at the back. What a race. Again, hopefully next week we won't have the issue with missing a screen. We apologize for the inconvenience. Hopefully next week we will be able to have Bagel's point of view back. And we'll make sure to update you guys if we do get it now. Alright, welcome to the results. NASCAR Race 2 Championship results. Well, the race results. Spool first, second Pings, third Coinsey, fourth GameStopper, fifth Cody, sixth DNF Bagel, seventh DNF Cable. Fast lap bonus goes to Spools. Now we can see the championship points on the right side of the screen. GameStopper's still leading, but Pings and Spools with one race. Spools has already made it up into third, while Pings is slowly making his way up the leaderboard. Coyne lost a bit of lead after not having a good race last weekend. Seems to still be falling behind and hits fourth. Bagel in fifth. Code in sixth, who did not race today. Cody is in seventh. Cable eighth, and Royce ninth. Thank you all for showing up today and watching this commentary. It probably wasn't my best work. I'm still an amateur and I'm still working on things. But if you enjoyed, hit the like button. And if you would like to join us for our league, hit in the description down below. There will be a link to our Discord and a link to our Twitter and Twitch where you can watch things live and get frequent updates. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next week for our 47 laps at Indy. Have a good week.